Welcome to the Warrior Athletica channel. I'm reviving this channel to bring you new content to include nutritional information, not only just exercise and training, but the nutritional and supplement aspect of things as well. I'd like to thank the Mavericks Project, mavericksproject.org, for inspiring me to revive my channel and begin my new series. In today's topic of discussion, I'm going to talk about farm to table, how corruption, biotech, and fake foods are hijacking your plate. This is my Substack article that I wrote a few weeks ago, and I thought I would share it with you. This can be found at athenaangelique.substack.com. So you think you have choice when you go to the grocery store and you see organic and you see non-GMO, but is that labeling really telling you the whole truth behind your food? Well, not exactly. The more research I do, the more I find out that organic and GMOs and non-GMOs are corrupted because lobbying and biotech companies keep reshaping the food supply behind the scenes. If you do some more research, you find out that the USDA food pyramid launched in 1992 was influenced by lobbyists from the meat and dairy industries, as well as the wheat and grain industry, with their interests in mind, not public health, but their interests. And you think, well, okay, forget about the food pyramid. But what about spending the extra money and buying organic? That should be a good protective measure. But organic label has been corrupted by widespread fraud and lack of oversight, particularly on international imports, where bribery, falsified documents, and inadequate inspection of high-risk countries facilitate non-compliant products entering the United States. Weak enforcement stateside also allows violation to continue, and conflicts of interest with for-profit certifiers and inadequate regulations around animal welfare and land management further undermine the system's integrity. Then we see the long-term side effects of companies like Monsanto entering the game. Back in 1982, they started successfully engineering the first plant cells, making its entry into the GMO seed market. The company launched its flagship Roundup Ready soybeans in 1996. And here's a long list of long-term side effects from chronic exposure to these Monsanto chemicals: cancer, endocrine disruption, reproductive and developmental issues, liver and kidney damage, gut microbiome disruption, genotoxicity and oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, neurological effects. Glyphosate has been detected in foods like grain, oat, honey, fruit, vegetables, meat, fish, beer, and wine, as well as in water sources, increasing the risk of chronic low-level exposure through consumption. Approximately 81% of the U.S. population over the age of 6 shows detectable glyphosate levels in urine, indicating a widespread exposure. So now we have not just only pesticides, we have the franking coating on produce. Produce has been coated for a while with wax. They call it an edible food wax. Now we're seeing A-peel, which has been approved for USDA organic certification, but only 0.7% of the ingredients are disclosed. Again, we're using technology to extend the shelf life of fruits and vegetables. It creates an ultra-thin barrier that slows moisture loss and oxidation, mimicking the natural protective layer of produce. But it has been FDA approved as generally recognized as safe. Now, how many things have been approved by the FDA and then 5 or 10 years later have been yanked from the shelves? I can think of, Vioxx, hernial meshes, and certain other medications that were approved and then yanked from the shelves because of disastrous effects. So what they don't tell you about the ingredients comprising the A-peel coating include processing agents and heavy metals, such as arsenic, lead, cadmium, mercury, palladium, linked to health issues, trans fats, and mono and diglycerides, emulsifiers are in there. So basically, you're putting a coating on fruit and vegetables that's extremely hard to wash off, and now they're being put out in Costco, Kroger, and other commercially applied to apples, cucumbers, avocados, asparagus, limes, lemons, grapefruits, mandarins, mangoes, and oranges. So reading between the lines of FDA and EU safety limits, how many times have these limits eventually reared their ugly head several years later? Then we talk about manipulating the RNA in genetically modified potatoes and apples. In peer-reviewed studies, double-stranded RNA reprograms and silences the human DNA. And in spite of all the dangerous and damning evidence, the USA has allowed it on the market. The mechanism in food is the same mechanisms translated to humans. Arctic apples and innate potatoes have been genetically modified. And so they silence the gene and enzymes. It turns off the genes in the RNAi process, and they interfere with gene expression. They introduce the specific RNA sequence in apples and potatoes, and they're tricked into destroying the messenger RNA that would normally carry the instructions, preventing the enzyme from being made. This is prevalent in the market already in innate potatoes and Arctic apples. These Arctic apples are currently available in Golden Delicious, Granny Smith, Fuji varieties, with GMO Gala apples in development. And the labeling for these things are talked about BE disclosures, which could appear as a logo, written text, or phone number. They are required, but yet it's easily missed when looking at food if all is required on a logo or a phone number. The BE labeling law does not require disclosures on bioengineered foods sold or served at food service restaurants and venues. So you're looking at these innate potatoes and store varieties. Monsanto engineered them. The Simplots GMO version white russet Burbank are sold in stores and used in packaged potato products and served in restaurants. You might see the language such as reduced bruising, fewer black spots displayed on their packaging. They're processed into other products such as frozen foods, prepared products that contain potato or potato derivatives. And they're so prevalent in stores that consumers must seek out and verify non-GMO alternatives. They're talking about RNA meal changes honeybees' DNA genes, RNA fed to mice silences DNA genes, RNA foods already in the supply chain. And in my Substack article, you can click on this photo and it'll bring you to the video, and you can click on the articles in the Substack link and you can go and find out these experiments. Then we go from Frankenmeats to Frankenfish. So we've already heard of the cell-cultured lab-grown meat, but now we are entering the fish category. In June of 2025, the FDA approved lab-grown salmon from Wild Type, a San Francisco-based startup. It is cell-cultured salmon. Now served at some fine dining restaurant in Portland, it's grown from real fish cells bypassing traditional fisheries or farming. Unlike plant-based alternatives, it's biologically real salmon, indistinguishable in texture and taste from its ocean-caught counterpart. I don't think so. I mean, you're messing with, again, it's cell-cultured salmon. I wouldn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, and I wouldn't want anything to do with it. Because in the lab-cultured meat, they use something called immortal cells, and these immortal cells have been known to be cancerous cells. And I would not want to put any immortal cells in my body if I can avoid it. Like I mentioned here, the use of immortal cell lines depends on the specific approach and research goals. Immortal cell lines are cells that have been modified to proliferate indefinitely, bypassing the natural limit on cell divisions. Again, they're advantageous in cellular agriculture for producing consistent, scalable quantities of cells without the need for repeated biopsies. You are playing God with these cells and saying that it's okay for us to eat as food. Okay, and this is what the problems with immortalized cell lines are not fully disclosed. The potential for genetic instability. They could potentially result in abnormal cell behavior if not rigorously controlled. Unknown allergen risks, express proteins differently than conventional counterparts, new immune reactive compounds, contamination risks. Any lapse could introduce pathogens or harmful byproducts into the system. Uncertain long-term health impacts, potential risks such as chronic exposure to novel cellular byproducts or trace residues from growth media are not fully understood. Plus, there's unintended secondary metabolites or proteins due to altered metabolic pathways. Do you really want to put this stuff in your body? For me, absolutely not. The production process for immortal cell lines may involve chemicals, growth factors, and genetic engineering tools. No, thank you. Then we see some parasites in salmon bought from Costco. So not only do you have to worry about these lab-grown salmon, but in our natural salmon that we buy in the store, is it contaminated with parasites? And this woman bought this sockeye salmon from Costco, and she accidentally left it out on the counter overnight. And what she saw the next morning were these parasites coming out of the flesh of the salmon. And those weren't the only two. She caught more on the video. And if you go to my Substack, you can click on the video and watch the whole thing. But some people say, well, you know, that's parasites. Parasites are on a lot of things and a lot of things. Correct. But can you kill the parasites in fish by cooking or freezing it? Well, thoroughly cooking fish to an internal temperature of at least 145 degrees kills most parasites, but not all of them. Ensure the fish is cooked evenly with no raw or undercooked parts. Freezing can also kill parasites, but it depends on the temperature and duration. The USDA FDA recommends freezing fish at -4 degrees for 7 days or 31 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 hours in a blast freezer to kill parasites found in raw fish. Home freezers may not reach these temperatures consistently, so results can vary. Not all parasites are killed by freezing. Proper storage and handling are crucial. Always follow the FDA guidelines. And then use, if you're preparing raw fish dish, use sushi grade or sashimi grade. What I personally do is a parasite cleanse. I do it once every 90 days for 10 days straight. And I use this and this. And you could read that in my article. How to protect against glyphosate. I talk about going to an organic diet, but make sure you're finding organic labels with the higher standards. Avoid or limit certain conventional foods. Steer clear of non-organic products from crops such as wheat, oats, barley, soy, and over 70 others commonly sprayed with glyphosate. Support detoxification, and wash and prepare your fruits and vegetables properly. How to protect against mRNA-injected meats. Choose meat from verified sources. Look for labeling and legislation. Buy direct from farmers. Monitor developments as mRNA tech advances. Check product labels. Stick to conventional sources. Be cautious with processed items. Support bans and restrictions. Some regions debate outlawing or labeling them to advocate for transparency. How to protect against GMO produce. Try to buy organic if you can. seek non-GMO project verification, avoid high-risk ingredients, shop local and seasonal, and how to protect against other altered foods, minimize ultra-processed foods, read labels carefully, opt for home cooking, prevent adulteration. This is a cool graphic here from the Environmental Working Group. They release every year a Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, such as the most and least pesticide treated products. And if you're on a budget, this helps you prioritize which purchases should be organic, if at all possible. Here you have the Dirty Dozen: spinach, strawberries, kale, grapes, peaches, cherries, nectarines, etc. And then we have the Clean 15 here. And it's a good guide. Overall, a diet rich in organic, locally sourced foods is the most effective strategy. And so, as you see, they're attacking our food supply. And I really think it's important to understand what you are putting into your body. And even if it's just fruits and vegetables, because clearly they're messing with fruits and vegetables and fish and organic and GMOs. And it's really hard to try and monitor everything. And I get that. But you can have the knowledge and understand what to look for and treat your body as best as you possibly can. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you found it helpful, and look forward to wonderful videos coming up soon about more nutrition topics, health topics, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.